We are joined by today's guests, Jen Jacobsson-Melo. Did I pronounce that correctly? Okay. And Livio Melo are the couple who founded Allmansright, an ultralight gear company located in the Bronx. Both Jen and Livio reconnected with nature in New York City, and Livio started designing and making his own gear. Allmansright seeks to bring Allmansright, you'll correct me on that, I'm sure, a Swedish principle about the right to freely roam and explore the outdoors to as many people as they can. Jen and Livio, thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Did I butcher the Swedish pronunciation of that principle?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. Help me out here.
It's pronounced Allmansrätt.
Okay. I won't even try again. I won't even try. Yeah. Tell us. So obviously from the intro, we got the basic premise of that, but can you elaborate on that?
So it's basically a Swedish law. It's like written into the, it's like basically a right that you have to recreate outdoors, whether it's on public land or private. So you can go explore the wilderness freely, pretty much. Of course, there's guardrails around it, like leave no trace, do not disturb. And if you're in a national park or like a preserve, there's rules. But other than that, you can, just kind of recreate, swim in lakes, pick berries, fish, yeah.
The fishing one always gets me because I'm thinking that like fishing on private land, like there's millions of YouTube videos of people getting cops called on them for just like fishing in random waterways.
You can get shot for that out in the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
So where does the inspiration from that principle come? Like, have you guys adventured out in Sweden, or where does that come from?
Well, Jen grew up roaming around because of it, freely because of it, and then and I guess for me, where its importance to me is because I grew up I was a serial trespasser, but like back in the Dominican Republic, where in my youth I would just go from property to property, and it wasn't necessarily protected by law, but it was a small town, rural, so everyone knew each other, and if I ever got in trouble, they'd grab me by the ear, take me to my grandma's house, but like I had that sense of freedom to like wander and get lost in the woods, and that's something I feel like not a lot of folks get to experience much.
Yeah. And Livio, if I'm correct, your family emigrated here from the Dominican Republic?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah. I was young. I was turning 6, I believe it was. Like I think it was like August 95 or something, or 96. It was when that huge snowstorm happened, in like massive snowstorm in New York. I remember that. So it might have been 96. Anyway, yeah, we all pulled up illegally. Very young, came to New York. It was a strange feeling because like I mentioned, I went from being able to recreate outdoors and create outdoors and just spend most of my times out there to being restricted to a small apartment, around what felt like unsafe streets for for obviously for a young kid to be roaming around alone in New York City streets is probably not safe. So yeah, it just felt like every time I came to, we went back and forth all the time for vacation, spend time, they'll ship me out for like months, so they could like move around more freely here. My parents, I mean. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just felt like the States was like a little cage. In fact, my mom called it the golden cage, basically. It just felt like outdoors and recreation, at least here, it wasn't like a thing, like we didn't have the freedom we had out there.
Yeah. Tell me about the outdoor culture in the Dominican Republic.
It's daily life. So like we collect rainwater and we store it, and that's what we drink out of. That's what we bathe with, cook with. You're subject to hurricanes every like winter. So like, around winter, fall. So like, you know, we had to prep for that, and then we like tie down the roof, like literally tie down the roof. And it was just an experience that like you felt subject to nature. You know, droughts were a thing. Like when droughts happened, no one had water. We had to go like miles to the river and like and collect water. You know, but then the more recreational side of that would be that like, you know, we'd go play baseball in the morning, and then after that, a whole caravan would form, and then we'd all go to the river, and like, and collect like root veggies along the way, and we'll all just like cook around the river, and that's always how it was. You know, we have a holiday. Well, Holy Week for us is just like everybody goes to the beach too. So, you know, it was an entire week of going to the beach and partying at the beach. And then I just had endless dirt roads. Like the town I was raised in, or most of my, like part of my early youth, had one paved road. So like any other road I took just took me miles into rural lands and wilderness, you know. So that's pretty much how I was out there. Yeah.
Do you prefer the Dominican, like just overall compared to out here, or?
That's a tough one. I can't say I do, just because I love people, you know, and I love New York, and I love everything people create, and the energy people bring. But I also love the peace and stuff about that of nature, and the chance to be out there as well.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I think I don't think I could answer that in any way. I think even city life is always gonna attract me. I think I love being part of this city. I love contributing to it. I even love what it takes from me. You know, like the pursuit of something. You know.
Yeah. I just have one quick oddball question while we're on the Dominican subject.
Yeah.
Is Sammy Sosa the hero to Dominicans that he is to Cubs fans?
Oh shit! No, he hasn't been in a long time, honestly. I think ever since the doping scandal and the skin bleach, I think
that was a little bit of a weird turn for sure. But
he fell off after that.
Yeah. Everyone was using steroids. I hate that.
Yeah.
Just the best guys are getting knocked for that because everybody was using.
But
them.
Sosa was, I'm so sure. Yeah. Back in the day, I mean, I was young when he was a thing, but
his head did double in size, so yeah, it probably was. Yeah.
No, but just athletes in general in the DR, they hold great standing. It's a very proud little island.
Yeah.
So like, it's a very proud little island. Like, thinking back at it, it's like, it's such a proud, like, I saw recently some like Dominican comedian, he was saying something, he's like, I'm the best because I'm Dominican, you know? And that's like, and I don't know, we grew up with like having that much pride from being from that place, and like, and you always felt like you could achieve anything. And I think that comes from like a bit of the Dominican culture, where we think that like we have sayings for like when you're like socially awkward or something, we tell each other like, don't be afraid of that person. Like if they're not gonna physically eat you alive, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like you're as important as the next. So like it kind of ties a bit to like the Swedish message, well, a little bit more I guess abrasive, but in that like you have your worth kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay, my oddball question now.
Yeah.
I remember that snowstorm. I was like 5 or 6. It was, for me, as 5 or 6, the best thing ever. Yeah. Coming from the DR, I imagine that would have been a little shocking. Had you seen snow prior to that point?
No, actually. We do get snow, but we
get
it. Yeah, there's it's an interesting island because we have mountain ranges very high up that it does snow up there.
Okay.
What's the high point of the island?
Pico Duarte, I think it's the tallest one.
Yeah.
It's like named after the founding father, so
Yeah.
it better be.
Yeah. What's the approximate elevation?
No idea.
Okay.
But there's snow for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen there's snow. Everyone wears like jackets out there. But then also 65-degree weather is like enough reason to wear a jacket out there. You see it happen. The first time I saw snow, like I mentioned, it was a massive snowstorm. Like I mean, like it was so much snow. I remember, I was staying at a townhouse in the Bronx that had like a window that opened into the first floor, and I could literally jump out the window and land into snow. It was just it just covered a 5-year-old me almost completely. So that was my first snow experience. I was like, couldn't get any better.
Okay, so you were enjoying it then.
Oh yeah, totally.
Cool.
I'm up for any adversity nature tries to throw at me. I enjoy it actually.
Yeah. Let's talk about gear.
Yeah.
What was the journey to you starting to make your own gear?
It happened immediately after I learned about like outdoor recreation, like legit. Like, let me see. I went on I bought. My friend came back from the JMT over the fall of like, what was it, like 17?
2018, I think.
18?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. And then February, by February I had bought like used gear from some lady who attempted the AT. It was all summer gear. Mm-hmm. But I went backpacking in February in summer gear. I had no idea what I was doing, but it just called me so hard to get out there. I nearly froze that night, but then I went back with the same gear like 2 weeks later. and then 2 weeks later after that, all cold nights, of course, but then I dove right in, right? Like I was already making gear by my second backpacking trip, like into Harriman State Park, is 30 miles from here. I had already made like pouches for Jen, myself, and then like April that year, I already made a backpack that we went on a backpacking trip with. Then May that year, we went to the Sierras with like this big heavy gear that like just crushed me. And Jen hurt herself like 5 minutes into the hike. So I carried a 60-liter pack and her 35.
Yes.
All up
Front and back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then from that moment, I was like, I got to keep pushing to, get this gear lighter. And at the time I definitely had more time than money. So like, I was just making gear, but yeah, I dove in immediately. Like, as far as I can tell, I can remember anyway, the, outdoor recreation and creating for me have been like one pretty much. Yeah.
So you said you were making most of your gear, like you made your pack on that first trip out in February. Like what was the first piece of gear that you actually made?
It was probably like a zipper pouch kit.
Okay.
But then was it that September? Like, so I found out about.
No, so the next year in September 2019 is where you made, maybe your, I don't know.
A whole year went by?
I think so. Yeah, and then he went to Colorado on his own with gear that he made.
Yeah, I had made like a backpack, tarp, a series of pouches and stuff like that. And at the time, I was just interested in getting outside, experiencing nature, and testing, like creations that I had. I didn't think I would be starting a company then, but like, I don't know, for some reason or the other, everything I'm interested in, I end up wanting to like make the best version of it, and I always end up wanting other people to have it as well. So,
are you using like a kit, or what's the process for actually like knowing the specifics on designing this stuff?
Ergonomics, you could, after testing, studying, like I remember I grabbed like, I would be at REI just like checking out, measuring every strap I could to find out what are the key points, where do these curves need to go. how far apart they need to be, and like trying it on myself, trying it on other people. But once you know the specifics for getting the ergonomics right, then the rest you could just imagine around that,
I think you did a lot of research too.
Oh, yeah.
Like YouTube and
for
like not just like learning how to sew, but also like kind of diving into the backpacking, hiking, people on there.
Yeah.
Watching and looking at gear reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was getting out like in a lot of like these weekend trips. So I got to test a lot of my stuff, and then I got to test the ergonomics and some other concepts on this like on this like 2-week trip I had in Colorado.
Where'd you go?
The Collegiates.
Nice.
Yeah.
The east, the west?
I started east and then went a little bit up the west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Collegiates are awesome.
Yeah, they're very cool. Very cool. Met my first customer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he was finishing up his Triple Crown, somewhere in like Durango, I think it was. But he was in Salida, and we met at a hostel there. He was like, "Yo, I like your pack." Like, he says his friend was like, "What's up with all these bozos and these small ass backpacks?" And I was like, "Everything fits." And the friend was like, "Yo, that's cool." Like, and then his friend and I started talking, and he was from Jersey, and so the tri-state bond kind of like got in there. And he was like, "Yo, if you ever make a pack, I'll buy your first pack." So 6 months later, I'm like, "Yo, I made a pack," and he bought it.
Did you have a website or anything at that time?
Did we?
I don't think at that time, but we were like that was like in the midst of the pandemic.
That was like April-ish, actually.
We're like, okay, let's make this a legit business.
Yeah,
let's
sure.
create an LLC. Let's, consider a website.
Yeah.
And so that was like that summer of 2020 was kind of where we were like brainstorming, planning. And then in August was like officially Allmansright.
That pack is still going, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fate pushing you into the gear manufacturing business. When someone's trying to buy your stuff before you're even a business, like, yeah, that's an Ouija board getting you.
But also it also sort of like that trip also solidified to me that like, yo, I want to serve these folks, the through hiking community, or just the backpacking, or just anyone that gets outside. Everyone was just super chill, super supportive. Yeah, and seem to care about the same things I care about,
And it says you had to end up converting a corner of your 500 square foot apartment into a gear studio.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of room.
No.
How are you making this all work in such a small space?
We made it work for a bit.
Yeah, like about a year, 2 years maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was very difficult. I won't lie. I'm not gonna lie. There was it'd be like thread in the tub.
Yeah, threads everywhere.
Instead of hair, it was just like thread everywhere. I'd have to pick thread from like my toes all the time. Yeah. What else? It was like.
Well, it was like, it was a very unutilized space.
Yeah.
From the beginning, it was kind of like, we're the foyer / dining room, but we never eat there. It was just like one big table, which then turned into our cutting table, or where the sewing machine would go until we got an industrial sewing machine. And then we just crammed everything in to that space right as you come into the apartment, and just built up the walls with pegboards and shelves. And just, we have kind of like this IKEA shelf to divide the room. And that shelf just kept getting pushed over, making the living room smaller. I was like, how much can we push this couch towards the other end?
Yeah.
But then we had Lucas, and once he turned 1 and he was walking, we're like, okay.
Yeah, it was starting to get like, he probably wanted space and, in his have a home actually,
Yeah.
So that's when we got a separate studio space, which we're really excited about.
But it would be like every time the mailman would like knock on our door to drop something off, I would just open up immediately and peek, because one of the machines was right up against our front door.
Yeah.
So it was like you're immediately in there. All our neighbors, every time
Like, what's going on in there?
our little neighbor kids, every time they were like, they would always try to peek in. Whenever we have the door cracked, they're like trying to like snoop. Like, what are these guys doing in here? What's going on?
Yeah, what did your friends think?
I don't know what they thought.
Good question.
They were always supportive. I guess
Yeah,
they wanted
yeah.
us out of there, but they were always super supportive. I think they were impressed that we were just like, I don't know, that we wanted this so bad that we were just doing it out of the like.
And able to produce in there too.
And able
I
to
think.
produce in there, yeah, because
Yeah.
like you couldn't move without moving one thing, you couldn't get to something without moving another. Like it was really something actually.
Yeah.
Do you have photos of that studio space? Because like I inventory a small amount of products for the trek, like hats
Yeah.
and buffs and stuff like that, and I have a dedicated bedroom essentially that's been converted into an office with a closet, and things are overflowing from that. Like I couldn't imagine your guys' setup where you're actually making the stuff.
Well, I think the only reason that worked was because everything we were making was out the door. So like we made it, we shipped it, we sent it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we could never store, except for like material. But then materials we had like
A hallway.
bungee
Yeah.
screwed to our hallway. So like a couple of like bands of bungee going
To hold the
horizontal.
rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just like put the rolls there, and it was holy.
I think there's some photos on our website, and
Yeah.
then REI Path Ahead Ventures made like a mini film about us, and it's linked on our Instagram too. And they filmed in our apartment. We
Okay.
had the studio there, so you get a really good snapshot from there.
Yeah.
And but that was crazy because it was like a 4 or 5 guys. With all the filming equipment in our apartment. It took over the whole living room. And Lucas there just crawling over the cases. And
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's a good one that you can see.
They were
kinda
using
like-
their cases as like
Yeah.
ottoman because there was no like.
And then there is a shot where they stand out in the stairway and film in through our front door.
Yeah.
And Liv is sitting right there by the front door just
Yeah.
like sewing.
Did you see a big spike in sales after the REI feature?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've every time they put us somewhere, I think a few folks find us and
Yeah.
shop. We're so small. I wouldn't say anything. I don't think anything that we do is huge at the moment. But it's all welcome.
Yeah.
How do you manage orders coming in and fulfilling them and like balancing that with other things? Because I would picture in my brain, if I like don't know what actually happens, like you guys might have Friday night plans or you want to go out of town and camp for the weekend, and then Friday at 3 an order comes in and you're like, well, we can't go, we got to make it. Like how do you juggle when someone orders and like how it's fulfilled and balancing that when you're just starting out?
Well, one is we definitely detail that. Give us some time to send it out to you, and then also just like we've had to a lot. To be honest, a lot of it's depending on the grace of the people who decide to support us. We are small and we don't have it all figured out, and we do absolutely everything. So like folks who support us, I think, give us some grace and understand like your stuff might take a little bit longer, but once they get it, I hope that they see the amount of like care and stuff that we put in it, so it all evens out.
You went to design school?
Yeah.
What in the design school, are they teaching gear manufacturing, or is it just like general, like, I guess I know nothing about design school.
No, no. I mean, at least not one in like the East Village, right? Like, or West Village. They were teaching us, they were giving, you could design. I was an industrial designer. So like, my thesis year, there were, kids designing like aesthetic drug paraphernalia. I know this one snowboarder designed a pack that would indicate when you're overloading it, and I was doing furniture that like reminded you of your grandma. There was a whole, but the one thing that the school taught me is to like think about the experience of using your stuff, and like the experience that sort of like people's connections to objects and like the the joint experience the two have together. Yeah, so that was a big one. They always instructed us to design the experience of using an object or just like or having it in your life. Like, what does that feel like? So everything I approach, I'm thinking about how it feels to use it as well, like how it feels to look at it, like how it feels to tell about it.
Yeah,
like all of that.
So would you recommend, if somebody was interested in getting involved in making their own gear, doing a design school, or is that a requisite step or a recommended step in your opinion?
Nah. No, I think the one thing I always my recommendation is keep your eyes open, like observe everything, like people, things, waste, everything. Just observe everything, like and consider, and I guess consider that, and like
when designing.
Yeah, like gain the experience, like and I don't mean like experience designing, because like I just mean like you just have to, like, design is about experience, and I don't mean like experience in the field. I just mean about experiencing life, So like, if you wanted to design something for somebody who has arthritis, dip your hand in cold water for as long as possible, so you know how like crampy fingers feel, like that's what I mean. Just be a student of life, just like, just keep your eyes, and this is gonna sound super corny, but you have to keep like your heart open too, because you have to be able to feel and what, who are you designing for, Yeah.
Are there other gear companies that you look up to that you think do a really good job, serve as inspiration for you?
Totally. There's a couple actually that I'm like a fanboy of. So there's I guess I'll start in the States. There's North Studio, this Seattle-based ultralight backpacking brand as well.
Spell that for me.
Oh shit! It's like they know it's hard spelling. I think it's like GNUHR.
Oh, it's not what I would have guessed.
Yeah.
No, it's like Arabic for.
I'm glad I asked. I would have not even gotten remotely close to that.
For lightness.
Oh, and the website's cool too.
Yeah, they're sick. It's
almost like an American Apparel vibe.
Wow.
They're sick folks. They do. They're trying to push an aesthetic into the outdoors that I really like.
This is cool.
There's an Italian brand called Rayon Vert. Super sick as well. Again, it's the outdoors with the vision, I think. Palante, I really mess with.
We just had John Z on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. The again, same story. They're really always pushing design, always thinking about like what the world of ultralight could be like,
I'm on the Rayon Vert website. It is something else. It's like
yeah, they're epic. They're seriously epic. And they've done some incredible stuff, like really people to look out for. You have to check out their stuff in detail. They're really goats.
I thought I knew every gear brand until recently, having John Z and now you guys on. Is like, I haven't heard of any of these. These websites are amazing.
Man, there's something happening. There really is. We're a small part of it, but there's something massive happening. I think that and like I study this stuff constantly, and like I'm even starting to identify sort of like different like aesthetic scenes. Like, so like the U.S. has its own like aesthetic when it comes to like outdoor brands and what gear's supposed to look like. Europe has its own as well, and so does like Far East and Asia do.
And I'm talking. Sorry, not to cut you off.
I've noticed that the U.S. has a more nostalgic approach sometimes to it, having had like a longer history of outdoorism, I think. or not longer history, but like, you know, or longer standing industry, I think, you know, and it's more playful in a lot of instances. You look Palante, you look Wintro, you look what's this other one, Noor as well. But they're like, they have some European vibe, and then in Europe, I think it's more more techie, like a more techie vibe. You check out like Purple Mountain. You look at the Italian brands, Raw Hiking, even Rayon Vert. And then in Asia, it's clean cut, unusual cuts as well, but always also pushing, you know.
Yeah, I'm learning so much right now. Honestly, I'm going to the websites of these brands that you're naming, and I've never heard of Purple Mountain either. And yeah, this is like a
and Korea,
like a fashion magazine almost.
Yeah, Korea has a cool scene too. You know, they have, you know, and Won, their Japanese brand, but then you got Kale, which is a South Korean brand, and they're all doing very cool stuff too. Yeah, there's a lot happening. It's where the world is at. It's cool because where the outdoor world is at is great, because I think that pandemic pushed so many people outside that it pushed people from all disciplines, and where the creative folks joined in. I think it started to like really, just more perspectives were put into products and in front of folks, you know.
Well, let's stop talking about other brands. Let's talk more about your gear. What's the piece of gear that you're the most proud of?
Say our pack.
Is that the Ultra Grid?
Yeah,
Lighten 35.
Yeah, it's it just knows how to carry stuff, you know. Like it's got loops for ice axe and trekking poles, and connection points everywhere. It's also like it's definitely, we call it liten, which means like small in Swedish.
Yeah.
But it's not small at all. Like it's 35 liters already rolled up, you know.
This is a big thing for me. I like how wide the shoulder straps look on this thing.
They're so comfy.
Yeah, they look
They're
very comfortable.
comfy. Yeah, they're super comfy on those. That's the one thing people always say about it.
I like how beefy the pockets are on the side.
Massive.
Yeah, it looks like you
Two now jeans.
Yeah, there we go.
Easy.
I love that.
Easy.
And yeah, the massive exterior mesh pocket too.
Yeah, it's big enough for like a wide range of helmets that you could just throw in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just it even has the cord lock on the front pocket. You can swing over and attach it like a strap to like keep everything in there as well. So like it's got a big amount of like multi-function, and at the bottom, like you know, and this is what I mean when we think about the experience of even looking at something. So like if you see our front pocket, the fabric panel behind it is always going to be black if the mesh is black. And the reason for that is because we don't like the aesthetic of like the sagging pocket when it's full. So if you put a black background behind it, it kind of just like, it gives you the same, exactly. Yeah. It gives you that same like color block that you like were attracted to initially.
Yeah.
So like that stuff is important, you know, to us, I think.
I very much use the large exterior mesh pocket, so I'm very familiar with the sag because I've got like half of my pack in that exterior pocket. So yeah,
it's not a good look.
It's not a good look. No, I look frumpy at all times in life.
It's not a good look. So we definitely and that's for me, it was like the first thing that like turned me off like about a pack. I was like, it just, I don't know why I worry so much about how things look, but I think it's important to people.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's your first step to falling in love with something, right? You gotta like how it looks.
Is this it's a frameless pack. Yeah. Any visions of making a larger version with a frame?
We've been playing around with it. We have a 40 liter that we've made often. And we just do like backdoor deals on those.
It's like offline.
Yeah, if you ask, the universe provides kind of thing. But it's a 40 liters. Also on our Instagram, but It has like, again, massive front pocket, massive side pockets, and then a zippered pouch right above the front pocket.
And then the hip belt.
And then a hip belt with pockets as well.
Yeah.
Removable or not. Yeah. But we're working on stays, like adding frame stays to them. It's just, we just don't know where to get them.
Yeah.
The frame stays. I don't know.
Yeah.
We have to network a little bit harder, I think.
The Gossamer gear packs, I don't know if all of them do, but a lot of them use the stays, so I'm sure they'd be able to give you some insight on that.
Gotta reach out.
I see that you guys sell quite a bit of these. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation again. You guys are already aware of that. The craft stuff sack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah. Sorry.
I can't. Again, it's another Swedish word. Krafts means like knickknacks.
Okay.
So it's just we figured that'd be a good name for the stuff sack because they hold all your little, random things on trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're great. They're, I think, my favorite because I use them a lot, like every day.
That's true.
Just for like keeping things organized in my tote or in my bag. For our son and his snack, I think.
That was the first place my mind went, is
Yes.
snacks for my kids. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And then of course when we hike or backpack, we keep all our stuff in it, like different things for the different sizes. But I like them a lot. They're just so easy to use.
Yeah.
Is there a size that is the most popular?
I think the small.
Yeah,
Small is
probably.
easy.
Yeah.
Also the small one has the ability. Well, they all do, but
Yeah.
the
It's a
small
little
one
easier
is
with the small one.
yeah, it's easier to hang on to something and then operate one-handed, like get stuff out of there, zip it shut.
Yeah.
But we, when we first started, we made a backpack and we made a crossbody bag as an alternative to a fanny pack. Just because some of us have like bellies, you know what I mean? So like the fanny pack, it just doesn't work. So then we were like, we need something that folks are like, who would want to support could like, you don't have to pay $200 something for a backpack. So we were like, let's do a small line of Dynamo products. And then we were like, so how are we going to approach it? Like, cause we can't just make a simple stuff sack. Cause like, why?
There's so many out there.
There's so many out there. REI gives you one with like everything you buy, like you buy snacks. Here's a stuff sack.
Yeah.
So we thought about like what a stuff sack mean to people, especially the very small ones, right? Like it holds all your belongings for, or the small things for so long, and like we thought that like wallets, people start to like develop like emotional connections to these things, So I'm like, let's make it the best we can, and like so for like for like a week and a weekend or something like that, we were like, I was like focused as hard as possible, just playing as much as possible with fabric material, cord locks, studying everything I could find. But then it sparked in my mind one time. I was like, wait, I can't open a stuff sack with one hand at all. Like it just doesn't work. Like you have to like somehow bite this, like thing and like pull it and then open it, So we came and I was like, and then that really sucks because like if you have a little stuff sack that's your medical kit, how are you gonna open it one-handed if one hand is like hurt or bloody or something, So I came up with a way to like bite the tabs and pull them apart. And I think for that reason, and then we just started. And it's just so intuitive to open and close.
Yeah. It's nice to have those pull tabs.
Yeah.
Like in a pinch, you just need to open it real quick. You can just pull those.
But again, I was thinking about the experience of using an object, like what is the experience of like opening this thing? Like, like it's important for us to create things that like serve people in a deeper way. Cause like if you don't develop like an emotional connection to things and objects, they're very likely to end up in the trash or replaced for something you like more,
Yeah.
So that's like one of our approaches towards sustainability. Like make something beautiful, like that serves you so well you can't get rid of it, kind of thing.
Yeah. You'd mentioned earlier that you made your own tarp when you were out in the collegiates. Is that right?
Yeah.
you have any intentions of breaking into the shelter space?
I want to. I do. But at the moment, I kind of just make gear for how I like to experience the outdoors, and like a tarp at the moment is how I like to experience it. But I'll make my way there eventually, because our goal is to design one of everything. And again, designing an experience, the experience of like going out there with like, you know, and the way we want you to, or like imagine you be. But like a tarp is just like you can't feel more connected to nature than with a tarp. You know, you wake up, it's there. You know, like first thing in your face is like grass and dew. You know, like you feel like dirt, like you're part of it. You know.
Yeah, I feel like dirt. Love that. Tell me about the shops in the Bronx. I've had a number of people tell me that it's awesome, and I'm regretful that we don't have more time in the city to come check it out. Yeah, but please tell me about that.
Yeah, it's way more. It's well lit than our apartment was. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great space. We were really happy we found it, and it was at the best time, the right time.
Yeah, it was at the right time when we were like realizing that we needed out of home, and we needed to work in a place where you know, where we had the peace to like be creative and produce as hard as we could, you know.
But everything happens in the studio. That's where we make everything, fulfill all the orders. Now we're hosting workshops too. Thankfully, our space is big enough to host at least like 6 people, plus 2, so like 10-ish, to do like a fun workshop. So then we've been inviting people over to make gear, like little hiker wallets or little zipper pouches out of scrap materials. A couple of times we partnered with Ripstop by the Roll. They sent us some of their scraps. Was really awesome and really nice of them. And then we have folks be able to come over and make gear, which is great.
I was very impressed by how well connected everyone in the hiker community in New York was. Like, you already knew Alec, you knew Click, Melissa. Tell me about the outdoor hiking community. We've got bottled water here too, if you'd like one. Yeah, just tell me about the hiker community here in New York City, because I don't think of a tight-knit hiker community when I think of a big city, but clearly that's the case.
It's true. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, we're out here for sure. Yeah. I mean, New York State is like, you know, it ain't quite your Colorado or like Western Cali or Northern Cali or like shit, pretty much anything out west, but it's. Sorry, I meant Eastern Cali, but man, it's New York State has some beautiful, like very beautiful, like natural spaces. Like we got the Adirondacks, which is like pretty much a rainforest out here. Yeah, and what was it like? I think it was Graham Heemstra from Field Mag said that like statistically there's got to be more outdoorsy people in New York City than anywhere else, right? Just because there's just so many of us. But yeah, we've been able to connect, you know, from our love of the urban space we're inhabiting, and as well as our love for the outdoors, and you know, we sought each other out from. Not only is there a large amount of hikers out here, and you can tell by the hiker meetups that happen like so often, but there's an industry forming here as well. You know, as I mentioned before, creatives become hikers, or hikers become creatives, and then go back and form an industry around that, you know.
Yeah, I am learning how much of an artistry there is to it, just based on the recent conversation we had with John Z and now you, because I haven't heard of any of these other brands, and going to the website it doesn't look like other websites. Like it's an artistic experience. To your point, there's definitely something bubbling up. Enlighten us. What are some of the cool outdoor hiking opportunities that are proximate to New York City?
I mean, cool thing is you could ride all up and down the Hudson, and there's like hiking. There's some cool hiking all around there. But I don't, you could always find me in Harriman State Park. It's me, Harriman, and Michael Trash. And like I'm happy. That's my happy place. And if you go to Harriman, you know what I'm talking about.
Have you been?
It's where Bear Mountain is.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like the park is like connected to Bear Mountain State Park, like just
You've
south
been
of it.
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I camped. I stealth camped on the side of the mountain one of the nights.
But yeah, the near New York, there's that, and then there's like Cold Springs. You could go to Breakneck Ridge and so on.
No, I was agreeing. I was thinking
A couple people
Beacon,
recommended Breakneck Ridge last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tall peak there, tallish.
I really like Minnewaska State Park, but
yeah.
it's a little harder to get to if you don't have a car.
You can't
But-
camp.
Oh yeah, you can camp there, which is sad.
Yeah,
But it's a beautiful place.
it's quite beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that live in the city don't have a car because it isn't always something that makes sense in New York
Yeah,
City.
no.
How long does it take to get to and from somewhere like Harriman? Because for me in Colorado, like I love going up to the mountains to ski, but the traffic to get there makes it not worth the fun for me. Like it's not worth the trade-off for just a day.
Yeah.
So I would imagine having to take maybe a subway to a train and a train to somewhere and then not have, a car to get you immediately where you want to go can
No.
probably get frustrating.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like there's decent transportation to like some kind of trail, like there's a bus that takes you to Harriman State Park from like Port Authority,
Yeah, direct bus, which is
and
nice.
it'll drop you along the trailheads, or
But we only learned about this recently.
yeah. But we would take the train there
Yeah,
as
we would
well.
take the train.
So like it was like it would be like a New Jersey Transit train plus a transfer to another one. And then
How
there's
long does it take? Like an hour?
an hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
The bus is nice and quick and comfortable. It's only like 45 to an hour or so. Yeah.
What are the return options like?
Same
Are
deal.
they run just as frequently?
Yeah. I would say, yeah. You have to be strategic about it though. Like depending on like if I was gonna hike through Harriman, like start at the west and then up in Bear Mountain, then it gets a little trickier just because it's like, what is it, like the only train station near there is like, it's called like Manitou.
Yeah, and all trains don't stop there, so then you have to consider getting an Uber or Lyft to Peak Skills.
But there's a bus now from like the Bear Mountain Inn.
Oh, like a shuttle?
I don't know. It's a bus.
That's good.
Yeah. So there's it's easy. I've gone and come back in public transportation a ton.
Yeah.
We usually like plan a hike, like, okay, we're gonna go in this way and then loop around and come out that way, and then we can catch the train there. So there's definitely a little bit of planning that goes into, just to make sure that we can get home okay too, because and what time, they start running less frequently on weekends, and you can get out late and stuff like that. But
I found that like unless you got two cars, like going with friends, like if you're restricted to like a loop, basically you got to come back to that car.
Yeah.
Whereas like taking public transportation, you could just make the trip whatever you wanted.
Yeah. A lot more freedom.
Yeah.
Have you experimented with apparel at all?
Yeah, some like headwear mostly, and stuff for myself. I have. I think since we're like producing our stuff right at the moment, I think what the things I want people to have are out of like my skill range at this very moment. But as I practice, I'll be able to feel more comfortable. Like, and mind you, it's not bad stitching at all. Like it's all like it's pretty decent stitching by standard. It's just that like, I don't know, apparel.
I mean, there's like fit, like you have to consider fit, and I think making sure something fit good is so important.
Yeah.
That's I think the hard piece.
Yeah.
To have to kind of practice and stuff first. Make sure do a lot of fits.
Yeah.
Testing.
I also, I don't know, for me, like when I think about apparel, like it's a whole new world, right? Because like I don't know if I could just do one T-shirt, right? I'm gonna think about the pants.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna think about like who's wearing it, how they're wearing it, who's this, who's that, and that's like it's a kind of worm that I enjoy having seen other people open it and me just like peer. But we're working there. I think we're gonna start with the gear first. I think I've learned that like that it's just a world like I don't know. Am I scared?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Am I scared? I don't know. The standard I have for it, I think, is I'm personally not ready to tackle it just yet. Just like the world I want to see with it.
Yeah, I understand. It's a totally different frontier, and like you're just opening up Pandora's box with that.
Yeah.
Are there any materials that you're especially excited about, whether gear or apparel?
Yeah. I mean, anything wool, I really like. And I've seen people do some I've seen some funky stuff like Alpha Direct. It's that it's like that fleece that's taken over. The Alpha fleece.
Oh, the Alpha fleece.
Yeah.
Alpha Direct. Sorry, yeah, like the Senshi fleece. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That stuff. The there's like a wool version of that. I'm like, yo, that's miracle material right there. Because like wool is already an incredible material. Like hello, like nature made that. You know? And then having it like with the alpha structure, like that's got to be something special. I haven't played with it yet, but I have a ton of alpha in the studio. I think I just need like time.
It's got to be tough to balance, refining what you're selling now and keeping the business moving, and all that goes into that, with like also having this space to innovate new things and having a young child at home. Like I'm sure that's a lot to juggle.
Yeah. D&D is coming. It's becoming difficult. I think because like we have this like stupid notion that like if it's done already and it's being done well, we're just not gonna touch it. And so like for a new product for us is like it doesn't come as easy. I don't know. It just doesn't come as easy. We always, because we want to tap into like the reasons people love this object and like the reason people like on top of the functionality part of it. So like, new product, like our the only new product we released in like a year was like the grocery bag. Well, that's not true. We've done like the collabs with some folks, but like core products from like Allmansright has been like a grocery bag, where it's like a Dyneema grocery bag, right? Like it's been done before, but people no one was considering the importance that these these graphics have in people's lives, right? Like takeout, like the smiley face takeout bag, like no one's thought that like this graphics has been in people's lives from the time they were kids, and like their parents were bringing home takeout, like they just been around us, and somehow like I have attached to our psyche somehow, so like we've been able to make the Dyneema like bodega bags for a while too. It's just there was just too many folks doing it until we found like what we can contribute to it. We weren't gonna make it. So that if we hopefully,
I think that's like our approach to sustainability too.
Totally.
Like we're not just gonna make something to just because.
I called it stupid just because it's very restrictive to us. Like folks has been asking us to design this and that and direct, and I'm like, I really want to, guys, but I can't give you something you can't get somewhere else. Like it's just not. There's no point, not for sustainability's sake. yeah, like, and I'm not trying to be like a contrarian or like I want to be different from anybody. That's not what motivates me. I just don't want to contribute to like, just don't want to contribute trash, you know, to the world, which is where like it all inevitably ends up being, you know.
Yeah. So you mentioned sustainability a few times. Is the approach there just that you want to make something that's so kick-ass that it won't end up in the trash, or is there something above and beyond that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we understand that sustainability is beyond just like, it's beyond using recycled materials, right? Like, and there's so many ways to attack it. We just really try to approach it from like any way possible, whether it's giving you a product that tugs at your heartstrings or a product that literally lasts forever. But we're trying to consider it all. There's no right answer at the moment, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you use Ultra Grid on all of your packs?
It's slowly becoming the like the standard for us, I think.
Yeah.
It's just it's a good material. It's a good material with a good coating. And recycled nylon just seems to do very well compared to polyester. Yeah, and it's got like the ultra high molecular stuff embedded in it, the ultra stuff embedded in it, like in the ripstop pattern. So it's just strong. You can't beat it, honestly.
Yeah. And if somebody listening to this wanted one of the 40-liter packs, you said that you've done it kind of off the website. Would they just reach out through the contact form, or what would be the best way to go about that?
Yeah, squeaky wheel gets the grease, you know. Like you gotta reach out and ask and probe and like, and we keep ourselves pretty open and accessible for questions and stuff. And so yeah, if you just asked, you get.
Yeah.
You know?
Which of these pack colors do you sell the most of? They're really pretty.
Oh, that's a good question.
Blue. Recently,
The blue.
Yeah.
the light blue has taken off recently, which for like a year and change, it wasn't the favorite. But my favorite one is black for some reason or the other. It's just like the blackout one is just, it's just, you know.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, very sleek. Sweet. Well, I think my last question, unless Chauncey's got something, is our Stay Salty question. Thank you to our title sponsor for this episode, Element. Go to lmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack. Do you guys have a hot take? Can be either in backpacking, the outdoor sphere, or just in life in general.
Ooh, a hot take. What's a hot take? Like not a popular.
Yeah, like an unpopular opinion, basically.
Oh, this is hard.
Geotag everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, geotag everything. The problem isn't that like, you know, that like all these people are crowding to the small space, you know, like, and ruining it. Yeah, that's happening, but the solution is not going to be gatekeeping it. The solution is going to be opening up more spaces for more people to visit, so we're not like condensed into these small like spots that are getting ruined, you know.
Yeah.
Just like share it.
Yeah.
Share it. Like if it wasn't for people sharing spots like throughout Harriman State Park and stuff like that, like on Instagram, I would have never found out about it. I would have never been like getting pumped to go to these places. Like if it wasn't for YouTube or like just map pictures and info on apps, I would have never ventured out to the collegiates all on my own. You know what I mean? The solution is not going to be restricting the amount of people who visit a spot. You know, it's going to be opening up more spots. It's going to be making it more accessible closer to everyone, you know, like, yeah, I guess that's my hot take.
No, I agree. And I think too that it makes me think of Allmansright, you know, and the inspiration that we pulled from that, you know, that there's just more space for everyone, you know. You don't have to be so restricted either. And I think what's happening in Sweden and growing up in Sweden, that when you grow up with Allmansrätt, it's just part of culture. It's just part of your everyday. And I think we all grow up becoming good, you know, stewards of the nature, you know, and being outside, being outdoors. And, you know, and I think that long term, if there's more to share all around here, I think more people will fall in love. with
Yeah.
outdoors and also, want to protect it.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. I don't think having more public land advocates is ever a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's telling people to not go to these places is crazy to me as well. Well, Livio, Jen, thank you so much for joining us here on
Thank
Backpacker Radio.
you.
This was awesome.
Thank you.